Breaking. Donald Trump just said, we have completed the very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, 4 down, Natanz and Isfahan. All aircraft are now out of Iranian space. A full load of bombs was dropped on the main site, Fordow. All aircraft are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. No other military in the world could have done this. Now is the time for peace. What the President Trump announces the U.S. has bombed Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan in Iran. He calls it successful and says U.S. planes are outside of Iranian space. Now is the time for peace, he writes. Dude, the peace president does it again? What do you mean? What do you mean the peace president? We just bombed a foreign nation. What the do you mean, peace president? We have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iranian airspace. A full payload of bombs were dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There's not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention to this matter. What are the other bombers doing today? What do you mean? They're probably coming in because of a potential retaliation, which might come. And I think it will, but I don't know. We'll see. Now we wait. Now we wait. From this point on, we wait. We see what Iran's retaliation is going to look like. But remember, right as this information was coming in, I said they are perhaps holding off on deploying ballistic missiles because they're worried about an imminent American strike. This was the most expected, the most anticipated attack of all time. Seymour Hersh was right, for the record. No, Al Jazeera is just
all right,
now
bringing you some breaking news now. We're just seeing U.S. President Donald Trump post on his Truth Social account that the U.S. has attacked 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Trump has said that joined the Israeli air campaign, and now we wait to hear more from Tehran and the Iranian government. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. This is, I'm reading now from the...
They got caught so off guard that their delivery mechanism for this looks like my live stream. Look at this. Both CNN, literally, they screenshotted it so fast that they still have the notification up.
Yeah, so we do know that the president is still currently inside the West Wing with his national security officials. We saw CIA Director John Ratcliffe enter the West Wing just a little over an hour ago. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, we just spotted moments ago outside of the West Wing on the phone, engaged in a phone call. And look, I mean, so far all we know is what we have seen the president post. Of course, this is very different from some of the things that we've been hearing in recent days, that he was still weighing this decision. Well, despite that 2-week deadline that he gave himself on Thursday, just 2 days ago, he has now, of course, made that decision moving forward with this series of strikes. I think very notable, I was in some conversation with folks who are wondering, does this mean the U.S. when he says we? Well, he thanks
I don't even know
American
if I can leave for New York now.
This. No other military in the world could have done this. Some other things I think very much worth emphasizing here, Jessica, is he says that the bombs were dropped on the primary site, Fordow. Of course, that was really what we had been hearing in all of our conversations, that really only the United States bombs, these B-2 bombs that you mentioned, we had reporting that had left that Missouri Air Force Base yesterday. They were the only ones that could really penetrate Fordow, that nuclear site, to really help the Israelis in their ultimate goal of wiping out Iran's nuclear capabilities. He says that they have done that, of course, and strike 2 other facilities as well.
Will this be like a Qasem Soleimani moment of restraint from Iran, and not even restraint at that point? It's like complete and utter domination? Or does Iran retaliate against American troop positions in the region and close off the Strait of Hormuz?
States into this in a far more offensive way than we have seen, and also kind of going against some of what we've also know as many people really wary of the United States getting involved in this. Some key things I think, though, are also important to note here, Jessica, is what I had heard in my conversations after we had reported earlier this week that the president had reviewed attack plans on Iran. I was told that behind closed doors in these conversations, he had asked his team specifically if there was a way to have the United States carry out some of these strikes without launching them into a prolonged war. I've been told repeatedly in my conversations here with White House officials that their goal was to see, even if they get involved in this, perhaps that does not necessarily mean that the United States is getting involved in a war or that this will make it a full-scale war. Of course, we have to see how the Iranians will respond to this, but that has been what I've been told in my conversations here at the White House.
And Elena, just to give people the Barack tweet that's in Hebrew is somehow going to tell us Israel knew about this all along. Wow, dude, color me surprised, brother. What a shocking development. Meanwhile, he was trying to pull the Ayatollah to Turkey or something. or the foreign minister to Turkey, right?
If Israel wants to get rid of any threat of Iran having a nuclear weapon and getting rid of that program, how do you achieve that goal? And the big question around that was whether the U.S. would get involved, because, as you mentioned, the key way to do that is with these bunker buster bombs. You need these B-2 stealth bombers in order to do that. Now, the Israelis had said they had contingency plans, but they certainly wanted the U.S. to step in here and help them offensively. The U.S. had been helping them defensively, trying to protect them as Iran was
What do you mean? You shut off the Strait of Hormuz, the entire world's oil production collapses. Not the entirety of it, but a big chunk of it.
That's exactly right. I mean, and you're right. I do think stepping back and looking at how we got here is so important. I would note as well, of course, that one, the president has been saying for months, even before he took office, that he believed that the Iranians could never have a nuclear weapon, that the ultimate goal was to find a way to prevent that.
They're already packaging this as like
that was really what we've seen this administration do, which is try to engage in negotiations with the
administration ready to collapse the entire globe, but instead a peaceful demonstration of restraint, a first strike that was necessary. What a psychotic country we are.
Just news, President Trump saying that we have completed our very successful attack.
Chatters. This is one day of traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. Oil tankers, cargo vessels. It is a tremendously important choke point that Iran stated they would start mining if they were attacked. The calculation here is simple. As I said, either the Trump generals are correct and Iran will behave in the same way that they did after the Qasem Soleimani assassination, but this is a severe escalation beyond that. This is exactly what Israel did to the Palestinians for 75 years, basically, not in the same severity, obviously, but like this is a show of force that says you will not negotiate with us. We will not negotiate with you as even partners. We are here to dominate you. Just as the Abraham Accords basically proved to the Palestinian population that there was no other way out of this, that they were backed into a corner and they had to fight their way out of it. This is another escalation from the American government and the Israeli government that their goal here is complete subservience from the Iranian government. They are no longer a sovereign nation from this point on, is basically what they are saying. They have their airspace. They've used the diplomatic talks
get to the depth
as a cover, as a protective cover
that facility
to basically blow up these facilities. Now, we don't know. We don't know if they actually were successful,
but again, it seemed like Fordo had not really been directly hit as far as we know.
That's right. The Israelis had primarily focused their attention on the Natanz facility. We know that they had done extensive damage to the above ground facilities, some damage to the below ground facilities, and then as well some damage to Isfahan as well, although they left a lot of that untouched. Some of that, according to experts who I've spoken to, may stem from the risk of radiation that could...
Heavy GPS jamming and disruptions are being recorded right now throughout Iran and across other areas of the Middle East, likely part of tonight's U.S. strikes against Iranian nuclear facilities, as well as the preparations for a possible response by Iran. From Phil Stewart, national security reporter for Reuters, U.S. B-2 bombers were involved in strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. U.S. official tells Reuters. This is the liberal media talking about this, by the way.
The mother of all bombs, which is in Afghanistan. That bomb is actually not the mother of all bombs if you consider the GBU-57, because it is smaller than this 30,000-pound bunker-busting bomb, which would, every expert has said, would be the bomb that you would use for the Fordo facility. At this stage, we don't know that they have actually...
What will China and Russia do now? I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but the fact that this happened feels as though China and Russia allowed it to happen, if that makes sense. Like, if they saw Iran as a valuable partner, a valuable enough ally, I doubt that they would allow Iran to get bombed. They would probably intervene far before this took place, if that makes sense. Like, I don't think America can move B-2 bombers into Iran and fly over Iranian airspace and blow up Iran when there are Chinese assets in Iran. There are Russian assets in Iran. Well, notice that they didn't actually bomb the fucking Russian facility. The Russian nuclear facility was untouched. They will intervene now. I think it took everyone by surprise. It took everyone by surprise. So why is a dumbass 33-year-old Twitch streamer who is simply looking at the readily available reporting on it, telling you that it was going to happen literally this weekend because I read Seymour Hersh's reporting on it, which was almost entirely correct. There is no world in which if I am speculating on something and telling you that this assessment has a high likelihood that the Chinese state is oblivious to that reality, or rather the Russian state is oblivious to that reality. That's not how states work. Many of you don't understand that like states literally engage in deconfliction when they literally do war with one another. Even they communicate flights to one another. I'm not saying that the B-2 bombers were communicated ahead of time to Russia and China, but I would be shocked if they didn't. My whole point is, first of all, there is no congressional approval. They are basically behaving as though if it's a bombing campaign, it doesn't require, like just with Yemen, just like Yemen, if it's a bombing campaign, it doesn't require congressional approval is like the modus operandi now. Okay, this has been calcified as a fixture of American foreign policy. Okay, congressional approval basically is negligible and not necessary when it comes to bombing campaigns. At most, if you want to do probably like a full-blown boots on the ground military campaign, then you have to maybe say like, oh, this is going to be a special military operation, not a full-blown invasion. And then maybe you can exhaust the legal limitations once again. This is a severe escalation. This is a severe escalation, an act of aggression against a sovereign state, directly going to war with Iran, specifically at the behest of Israeli leadership and Israeli advice. In the Syrian civil war, Russian and American air forces communicated their flight paths with one another to make sure no accidental shoot down of the other. This is something that the great powers did since the Cold War to prevent escalation of nuclear war. Exactly. America does not give a about anything, dude. We do not care about anything. We are so awful. We are so goddamn awful. It is crazy. The Constitution, international law, we designed it. We can break it if we want to, and you can't do a damn thing about it. That is precisely what's going on here. Now we wait for the retaliation. Will Iran actually pull a post-Qasem Soleimani assassination, and their response is entirely so limited that it's basically nothing, it's negligible? Or will they actually retaliate with severe force, basically saying it's over, all systems go, we're going to blow up every American base with ballistic missiles, we're going to mine the Strait of Hormuz, we're going to disrupt commercial sea traffic, and this is their final step this is their final desperate last-ditch attempt at sovereignty. The problem with the final last-ditch attempt at sovereignty is that it most likely will lead to extended conflict with America and with Israel, and it will most likely lead to the inevitable demise of the country that we know, the United States of America, if it goes in that direction, and it will be used as a proxy by China and Russia if they are clever enough to extend that conflict in the same way that America was using Ukraine against Russia. The difference, of course, between Ukraine and Iran is that Iran has designed its entire society to withstand this kind of thing if push came to shove. They've never used it, and I don't even know if push comes to shove, they will be able to use it, but we shall see what happens. Trump just tweeted a OSINT account. Fordow is gone, says open source intel. This is so stupid. I'm sorry. What the I can't take this seriously. Open source intelligence, the OSINT 613 account doesn't know if Fordow was actually gone. They're like, what are we talking? What is this? Why is he posting this? Does this mean he directly is saying that Fordow is gone? You are the president, man. What the is going on? I don't know if this is a retruth because he is saying, yes, I saw it, or if he's just simply a moron and is retweeting an OSINT account to flex. I don't know. I don't even know if they have the capability of knowing if Fordow is gone. How would they be able to know if Fordow is gone? Even Americans. Do they have the surveillance technology to figure out, like, did they monitor the crater? How would they even figure out it's in the side of a goddamn mountain? There are 40,000 U.S. troops in the Middle East right now, and any lingering faith that Iran plus allies in Iraq, Yemen, etc. had in Trump's deal-making instincts is now shattered. Hard to see Tehran agreeing with Trump that peace will now come. More likely, they perceive an all-out war for regime survival. Trump's Truth Social account has been disabled. What the is going on, bro? CNN brings on a guest to say he's impressed with Trump's use of deception and trickery. Liberal media, by the way.
Of this announcement by the president and the decision to act now.
Well, I'm fascinated, and candidly, I'm impressed. I never really could understand what the
Monsters, bro. These guys are freaks. Wait, so they might not have even hit the facilities? What is happening? It's got to be, nah. Trump's account is not, let me tell you something. Trump's account is most likely not down. What's most likely happening is because Truth Social is a dog fucking website, when Donald Trump announces a nuclear facility strike and a first strike against Iran from the American government, of course, a ton of people clicked on to confirm, and it basically destroyed the whole website. It most likely destroyed Trump's account. It's doing most likely like a hug of death because their website is dog, because everything Trump does is dog. Everything. This is most likely a hug of death that is happening. See, as a consequence of people clicking on the account over and over again. Confirmation via Iranian sources. A U.S. official said on condition of anonymity, given the sensitive nature of the information, that multiple B-2 bombers carried out the strikes against 3 nuclear sites. The White House alerted television networks that the president was expected to address the nation later. The Fordo site was first revealed to the world in 2009. Okay, that's... Defense Department officials said on condition of anonymity, given the sensitive nature of the information, that a number of American B-2 bombers were used to hit Fordo. The bombers can carry the needed 30,000. I will be giving an address to the nation at 10 p.m. at the White House. That is in 2 hours. Regarding our very successful military operation in Iran. This is a historic moment for the United States of America, Israel, and the world. Iran must now agree to end this war. Thank you. This is what Trump said. The bombers can carry out the needed 30,000-pound bunker buster bombs that can penetrate into Fordo. It was not immediately clear whether other American warplanes were using the strikes. 3 senior Iranian officials speaking on the condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to speak publicly said that they believed Americans had bombed Fordo and Natanz at around 2:30 a.m. in Iran. Here is an Iranian journalist an hour ago. At least 2 explosions heard in Qom. I'm in a clubhouse room right now, and there are a bunch of people living in the city of Qom, closest to Fordo. They're saying that they haven't heard anything. Breaking. Iranian media claimed that the U.S. targeted Fordo with dozens of bunker-busting munitions. Israeli media state that B-2 bombers dropped GBU-57s. No confirmation of the extent of the damage. Holy dude, what an insane situation. I cannot believe that we are... I mean, given how stupid things are, of course it is expected that this would unfold in real time in the exact idiotic ways that it did.